Namaste, everyone, and welcome. I'm so excited that you've all decided to join me on this journey of using your breath to discover a happier, healthier, more vibrant version of yourselves. Before we get started, though, what exactly is pranayama? Pranayama is an ancient technique that uses different breathing patterns to affect positive changes on your body, mind, and emotions. Many people define the term pranayama as breath control, since prana is a Sanskrit word for breath and yama is a Sanskrit word for control. However, if we dig deeper into the origins of this word, we see that the term pranayama actually comes from the two words prana, meaning breath, and ayama, which means extension or expansion. And prana, according to the yogis, is more than just breath in terms of inhalations and exhalations. Prana means vital energy or life force, so it's the energy flowing through you, it's the energy flowing around you, it's everywhere. It basically is what makes this world work. So if we look at pranayama in terms of prana and ayama, we see that it can actually mean energy extension or energy expansion. And one of the main ways that we can affect our energy is through our breath and by using our breath. So we see that both definitions are correct. And if we take from both of them, we can see that by learning to control our breath, we can affect the amount of energy in our bodies. So what exactly are all these health benefits that I'm talking about? Well, first of all, we all need to breathe to stay alive, right? However, for something as vital as breath is to our existence, we don't give it very much thought in everyday life, which means it's probably not functioning as efficiently as it could be. So when we take the time to focus on our breath and exercise our breathing muscles, we can strengthen our entire respiratory system so that in our everyday lives we're breathing much more efficiently and getting more oxygen. Secondly, have you ever noticed when you're anxious or upset or even angry, your breathing tends to speed up and get sporadic? So obviously our emotions can affect our breath, but did you know that our breath can also affect our emotions? When we practice certain pranayama techniques, we trigger little nerve centers in the brainstem, which is the base of our brain, and that in turn sends signals to the other parts of our brain telling us to calm down, to relax, and to just be happier in general. Third, did you know that there's actually a breath that can aid in your digestion and speed up your metabolism? There's also breaths to cool you down when you feel hot, to heat you up when you feel cold, to calm you down if you're feeling anxious or stressed, even to give you this laser-like focus if you're just feeling a little bit scatterbrained. There's also a breath that can help you fall asleep. Fourth, pranayama gives you the chance to simultaneously strengthen and relax your mind. When we draw our attention and our focus inwards just to our breath, we can improve our abilities of concentration and focus, and at the same time have an opportunity to forget about all the stresses and anxieties of the outside world. Fifth, this strengthening of the mind helps prepare us for meditation. In the same way that physical yoga poses or asanas help prepare our body, pranayama strengthens our mind so that we're able to sit still for long periods of time, just in the quiet with ourselves. Lastly, pranayama gives you a chance to discover new things about yourself. By taking the time to focus on your breath and how it affects your mind and your body, you'll learn just exactly what you have to do to increase your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. So with all these great benefits, the real question is, why wouldn't you practice pranayama? So now that we know the benefits of pranayama, let's just talk about a few things that you need before you get started. First of all, you're going to need an open mind. Some of these pranayama techniques are very different from the way that we breathe in everyday life. Some of them might not make sense at first, or you might feel a little uncomfortable the first few times you try them. That's okay. Life is all about trying new things and seeing what works for us and seeing what doesn't. If there are certain techniques that you don't like, you don't have to practice them every time you do pranayama. You can pick and choose what works best for you and what will be most helpful to your body and mind on the day that you're practicing. Second of all, you're going to need a quiet space. Ideally, this is going to be the same space every day, so that when you enter this space, your mind and your body are ready for you to focus on your breath and your energy. Also, it's not exactly required, but it's a good idea to have a yoga mat. This yoga mat will just make you more comfortable. It also will snap your mind into this focused state of concentrating on your breath. And also traditionally, yoga mats help us protect our energy. They house and store energy that we create through our different practices so that when we connect with our yoga mat, we're already more energetically balanced than we were before we started. Also, if you have tight hips or tight knees, or if anything hurts when you sit for long periods of time, it's a good idea to get something to place under your hips just to alleviate a little bit of this pressure. This can be a yoga block, it could be a pillow, it could be a bolster, which is essentially a very long, narrow pillow, or you could even roll up a blanket and stick it under your hips. But whatever you use, you want to make sure that it's just under your hips, under your sitting bones like this, so that when you sit, your hips have more space to open up, there's less tension on your knees, and this can also help you sit up straighter as well. So that's it. That's all you need. That and a willingness to explore your body, your mind, your breath, and get to know a little bit more about yourself. Now, before we dive into our study of pranayama, just one word of caution. These pranayama techniques are ancient practices that have proven to greatly affect your body and your mind. So with each specific pranayama technique, there's a list of contraindications. Please, please, please do not take these lightly. They are there so that you can protect yourself. If you have any of the conditions that are contraindicated for a specific pranayama, please do not practice that pranayama technique that day. The list of techniques that you can practice or that you're contraindicated for can change from day to day, from season to season, depending on how you're feeling. But please, please, please listen to these contraindications so that you can be the healthiest, happiest, safest, most alive version of yourself that you can be. And keeping this in mind, let's get ready to start our journey. Before we dive into the individual pranayama techniques, there are just a few general rules to keep in mind so that you can be as comfortable and distraction-free as possible and get the most out of your pranayama session. Rule number 1, always practice in a sitting position. Ideally, this is a cross-legged position. There are several different variations of this, which I'll show you in the next lecture. But basically, when you sit up with a straight spine and have your legs crossed, this is the most efficient way to protect your energy and the easiest way to help you sit up straight. Speaking of a straight spine, that is our second rule. You always want to practice pranayama sitting up with as straight a spine as possible. This gives your lungs and diaphragm the most room to expand, and also the most important energy channel in yoga, the Sushumna Nadi, runs along your spinal cord. So when your spine is straight, this energy channel is most open, and you can move prana and energy throughout your body as efficiently as possible. Rule number 3 is you're going to want to close your eyes. This helps minimize distractions around you, and also traditionally, when our eyes are open, energy can escape our body. So if you're creating all this energy with your breath work, you don't want it to escape right back outside. You want to preserve it and keep it safe by closing your eyes. Rule number 4 is you always want to practice with an empty stomach and empty bladder. You don't want to be in the middle of a pranayama session and all of a sudden have to run up and use the bathroom, or you don't want to be so full that your lungs and diaphragm can't expand. And some of the breathing techniques also use very strong abdominal contractions, and if there's any food in there, you might just feel a little bit nauseous. So always make sure that you wait at least 2 to 3 hours after eating before practicing and go to the bathroom right before you start your pranayama session. Rule number 5 is whatever mat or blanket or pillow that you're sitting on, you want to make sure that it's yours and that it's ideally dedicated just to your pranayama practice. Again, your mat, your blanket, your pillow, whatever you're using, it houses your energy, and you want to be able to protect that and come back to it day by day. And also, if you have a habit of sitting on a particular mat in a particular space when you practice pranayama, then as soon as your body comes into contact with that mat, that pillow, that blanket, your mind will also go into this space of focus and concentration. Rule number 6 is if you're practicing in a group, you want to make sure that you have enough space in between so that you're not touching anyone else. Also, you want to have enough space so that you're not touching their mats. Again, this is all about energy transfer, When two things touch, you are your mat, you are another person, energy flows between the two of you. And you don't want to be either giving or receiving energy from another person when you're trying to focus inwards. So just make sure you have enough space to spread out if you choose to practice with other people. Rule number 7 is that you always want to wear loose, comfortable clothing when you practice pranayama. Again, this is to give your lungs and diaphragm as much room as possible to expand. And also this makes you more comfortable. If you're wearing something tight, you might be focusing on the tugging that's happening here while you're breathing. And that's not what we want to be focusing on in a pranayama session. So just anything that's loose and comfortable and makes you feel happy is perfect for you to wear. Rule number 8, and this is an important one, is you're going to have to silence your cell phone and keep it far away from your mat. Again, we don't want any distractions while we're focusing on our breath and trying to draw our concentration inwards. And so if you hear your phone or you see little notifications popping up on there, that's just going to restrict your ability to focus on what you should be focusing on, which is your breath. Rule number 9, and we've kind of already touched on this, but you always want to practice inside. There are so many more distractions if you practice outside, coming from people, from animals, even from the air around you. If the wind blows on you, that's going to affect your breath and affect your prana. So just make sure you have a quiet, distraction-free space inside so that you can focus on your breath. Rule number 10, the last rule, is that you don't want to practice pranayama lying down. Although we want to be as relaxed as possible, when you lie down, it just relaxes you just a little bit too much. It also changes the alignment of your spine so that your breathing apparatus might not work quite as efficiently as possible. At the end of all the pranayama sessions, there is a chance to lie down and relax. We rest in a pose called shavasana, which I'll explain in a second. But while you're actually practicing the pranayama techniques, you want to make sure that you're sitting in a comfortable position. Now, let's find out what those positions are. Before we continue on and start studying the different pranayama techniques individually, let's first talk about a few different ways that you can sit. Now, the first way is quite easy. It's just simple cross-legged position. And this one is probably one of the easiest positions to be in. The only thing with this one is a lot of people have a tendency to either hunch their shoulders like this, or maybe arch their lower back too much like that. You don't want that. You want to kind of even out, rock forward and back until you find that point where you're completely straight and you feel like there is a golden thread going from the bottom of your sit bones all the way out through the crown of your head, pulling you straight up. So this is called easy pose because it's pretty much the easiest one. Now, the traditional position, which I'm sure everyone has seen, is known as lotus pose. Now, this one can be very intense on your hips. Basically, you bring each foot on top of the thigh like this so that both of them are like that and you almost have a lock here. Now this one definitely helps you sit up straight as it kind of pulls your hips forward a little bit, but unless you have very flexible and open hips and ankles, this might be a little bit hard on your knees. You could always place a block underneath to elevate your hips to be more like that, or another option is to do half lotus pose. So one leg is like you would be sitting in regular cross-legged pose, and then you just bring the other leg and bring the foot on top of your thigh like that. So one foot is underneath the thigh, one foot is on top of the thigh. This is a little bit easier. This will help slowly open your hips over time and increase your ankle flexibility so that eventually one day you can get into the full lotus pose if you want to. If you do practice this pose, it's a good idea to alternate legs on different days like that, just so you're getting an even stretch for both sides of your body. There's one more pose that's not quite as common. It's called swastikasana, or auspicious pose. So one foot goes flat into the inside of your thigh like that. The other leg comes on top and rests in this space here, not all the way over your thigh, but in between the thigh and the lower leg. And then ideally you also pull these toes up in between the thigh and the leg on the other side. That part might be a little bit intense, so just having one leg resting on top of the other like this is just a little bit easier for your knees and your ankles. If even half lotus is a little bit uncomfortable for you, you can just kind of pull your leg out a little more like that. And again, remembering to sit up straight, balance your weight between both sit bones no matter what position you're in. So these are just a few different options that you have on how to sit. If you have a very weak or sore lower back, You can even sit with your back up against the wall, but don't lean on it like this. Make sure that your back is straight. And then again, try to cross your legs. Having your legs crossed, again, helps protect your energy, pulls everything in, and helps you sit up straight. So these are just a few options for you. Do whatever is most comfortable for you. And again, if you need a blanket, bolster, pillow, do that. And find a position that you feel comfortable holding for a reasonable amount of time. It's okay to move a little bit. It's okay to adjust your legs, switch your legs every once in a while. I still do that. But just try to find a pose that you can hold steady for a while. The very last thing that we are going to talk about before we dive into the individual pranayamas is mudras. Mudra in Sanskrit means gesture or attitude. These are like the finger hand positions that you see yogis doing a lot. They can also be full body positions. There's mudras with your face. There's all sorts of different types. But we're just going to talk about a few common mudras used during pranayama practice. The first one is called Yana Mudra, and it is very simply when you tuck your first finger, index finger, into the inside fold of your thumb like that, and keep these other three fingers straight, not super straight like that. You want it to be comfortable, and you do that with both hands, and then you place them on your knees with the palms facing down. This is a grounding mudra. It helps center your energy, calm you, and focus you. There is another mudra called Chin Mudra, which is essentially the same hand position like this, except your palms are facing up. This is a gesture that is more energizing since you are here to receive more energy. Your palms are open to receive it. And you just, again, rest them lightly on your knees like this. So if you're feeling a little more tired, this is probably a better mudra for you than Yana Mudra. As you go through your practice, you can switch between mudras, whichever feels most comfortable. The last mudra is called, there's several different names for it, but I call it Prana Mudra. And we use this whenever we are trying to restrict the flow of air through one or the other nostril. You take your first two fingers like this. You place them over your eyebrow center. Then your thumb is out to one side, and your ring finger and pinky are together out to the other side, like this. And then as you breathe, if you want to breathe through your left nostril, you close the right with your thumb. And if you want to breathe through your right nostril, you close the left with the ring finger and pinky. And when you do this, make sure that your elbow is kind of up like this, not too far down so that your head goes back, but also not like this where it makes you arch your back. Just sit up straight. And if this arm ever gets tired during practice, you can support it with your left hand, or you can uncross your right leg and use it like that. I don't find this very comfortable, so I personally don't do it, but whatever is most comfortable for you. So these are the three mudras that we will be using in our pranayama practices. And basically what they do is they control your energy again, and when you have this gesture and you can link a specific gesture to a specific thought, it helps snap your subconscious mind into that thought. So if I tell myself that when I go like this, I'm receiving energy, my subconscious is immediately, as soon as I go like this, it's going to be ready to receive energy. So that's why we use mudras. Now, with all this information, we are ready to dive into the different pranayama practices. Let's discuss really quickly what Shavasana is. Shavasana is a pose of complete and total physical and mental relaxation. It's done at the end of many different yogic practices, not only pranayama. You can always rest in Shavasana when you've finished a meditation, and you always lie down in Shavasana when you've finished an asana or movement practice. So whenever you've finished all the pranayama techniques that you'll be doing for a day, just come to lie down from whatever seated position you may be in. I'm going to demonstrate. You're welcome to join me. So lay down with your feet spread about as wide as your mat, maybe 1.5 to 2 feet apart. Let your toes fall open to the sides. Have a long, straight spine, and your shoulders relaxed down your back. Have your arms straight out, not straight out to the sides of you, but not touching your body. A little bit away from your body so that your chest feels open, and have your palms facing the ceiling. Relax your neck, and focus on your breath, just natural breathing here. Begin to relax your toes. Relax your feet, your ankles, your calves, your shins. Relax your knees, your inner thighs, your outer thighs. Just feel your legs sinking into the ground. Release your lower back. Let it sink into the floor. Release your abdominal muscles. Release everything in your stomach. Just let it go. Feel your upper back releasing, your chest sinking down to meet it. Relax your shoulders, your upper arms, your elbows, your forearms, your wrists, your hands, and your fingers. Relax your neck. Relax your jaw. All the muscles around your eyes, let them go. And release your forehead. Just feel your body sinking into the ground, releasing into the earth. You might feel your body rise and fall with your inhales and your exhales. Just make sure that everything is totally relaxed, including your mind. Don't think about anything much. Just lie here for 3 to 5 minutes in complete relaxation. I'll bring you back when we're done. Whenever you've finished your relaxation for the day, slowly plant your feet in the ground and gently roll over onto your right side. Gonna curl up in a sort of fetal position. You can use your right arm as a pillow. Take a few breaths here. This is a pose symbolic of rebirth. Feel how maybe you're a little bit different than you were when you started this practice. When you're ready, gently prop yourself up. Find a comfortable seated position with your eyes still closed. Bring your hands together at your heart center. Begin to rub them together, generating some energy between your palms. Take your palms and place them over your closed eyes. Open your eyes behind your palms and feel this energy seep into your body. Look up and down, left and right, reawakening your brain. Take this energy in your palms and spread it all the way from your head down to your toes. Then bow your head to yourself, to Mother Earth, to whatever you believe in. And come back up. Now you're ready to move on with your day. So we practice Shavasana at the end of all of our pranayama sessions to deeply relax our body and mind. We don't often get the opportunity to do this enough in everyday life. So Shavasana just helps you clear your mind, reset your focus for the rest of your day, and it helps you integrate whatever you've learned about yourself through your pranayama practice that day. Plus it just, it feels really nice. So whenever You hear me say lie down in Shavasana. Now you know what I mean. Welcome to our first pranayama technique, which is Kapalabhati. Now, Kapalabhati means shining skull breath or frontal brain cleansing breath. So bringing a lot of energy, a lot of breath up here to this area, so it's just going to clear out all sorts of impurities. Kapalabhati is what is known as a Shat Karma. Shat Karmas were traditional cleansing processes. The study of Shat Karmas is very interesting, but very long and involved and well beyond the scope of this course. The main thing that you need to know for now is that most Shat Karmas are not practiced on a daily basis. However, Kapalabhati can be practiced every day. So it's a unique Shat Karma in that sense. Kapalabhati is traditionally practiced at the beginning of a pranayama session. So no matter how many techniques you'll be doing for the day, if Kapalabhati is going to be one of them, you always practice this one first. Because it is a cleansing process, it's going to move all the impurities and mucus out of your way, out of your airways, so that for the rest of the pranayama techniques, you don't have to worry about stuff being stuck up there or anything like that. And Kapalabhati is what is known as an energy wasting kriya or practice. So you want to practice it in short bursts and then always follow it up with a more calming pranayama technique or just slow, normal, regular breaths to help rebalance your energy and get your breath back to a normal rate. So some of the contraindications for Kapalabhati are if you have any condition that's causing pressure or pain in your abdominal area, such as if you're menstruating or pregnant, if you have an ulcer or a hernia, it's best to avoid this breath. If you have high blood pressure or any condition causing pressure in your head region as well, such as an ear infection or even if you've recently had a stroke, you also want to avoid this breath. And then if you have any condition that would restrict the airflow through your windpipe or your lungs and affect the amount of oxygen you can take in, such as if you have asthma or emphysema, also best to avoid this breath. The full list of contraindications is listed on the worksheet that comes with this lecture. Always check those before you continue on and before you try the breath in the lectures, because I cover the main ones, but I don't cover every single one in these lectures. Now let's highlight some of the benefits of Kapalabhati. Some of the benefits are it greatly improves your digestion and can relieve constipation. It'll increase your metabolism. It can also help relieve any minor concerns you might have in the head area, since we're bringing all this energy up here. If you have dark circles under your eyes, if you have dandruff or acne, this will help to alleviate symptoms of those. And also if you have low blood pressure, this will also help bring that up a little bit. So just a few notes before we start. Since this does require rapid breathing, rapid exhales, you might start to feel a little bit dizzy. If this happens, just stop, return to normal breathing. When you're feeling better, you can either try again or just call it a day, try this another time, that's totally fine as well. You also want to practice this, like I said, in short bursts and take rests in between. Also, definitely do not practice this one if you're feeling full or if you've just eaten recently. Definitely want to practice this on an empty stomach because all of our forceful ab contractions, if there's food in there, you're definitely going to feel a little bit nauseous. And the final note is that you don't want to practice this before you go to bed because this is a very energizing, mentally energizing practice. So it's going to make it very difficult for you to fall asleep, and nobody wants that. So keeping all these things in mind, let's get ready to learn how to do Kapalabhati. So come into a comfortable cross-legged seated position, whatever that position is for you today. Just feel your spine growing long. And once you know the technique of this practice, of course you'll want to close your eyes. For now, you can keep them open. Whenever you're ready, take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. Inhale again. And begin to forcefully exhale in short bursts like this. The inhales are going to be passive, so we're going to very strongly contract our abdominal muscles to force the air out, and then relax your abs, and the air will just naturally flow back in. Just start, do anywhere from 10 to 50 breaths per round. You can do up to 5 rounds. And as you continue in your practice and your lung capacity expands, eventually you can extend this up to anywhere between 60 to 100 breaths per round. Again, only if you feel comfortable and it doesn't make you feel dizzy. So for now, I'm going to show you what a full round of 50 breaths looks like. Done, return to normal breathing. Then you can move on to the next practice or lie down and rest in Shavasana. Before we move on to our next breath, let's take a minute and talk about energies. You've heard me talking about energy flow and energy channels and balancing your energies, but what exactly does this mean in yogic terms? According to the yogis, each of us has thousands of energy channels running through our bodies. These channels are called nadis. If you want to link this to something Western and more scientific, basically each nadi corresponds to a different nerve. There are 3 major nadis. 2 of them, the Pingala and the Ida nadi, correspond to the right and left brain hemispheres. So the right nadi, the Pingala nadi, this is associated with the sun energy, a more active, traditionally masculine, very bright, vibrant energy. This is associated with physical activity and the sun. And then there is the Ida nadi, which is the left side, the more passive energy. It's more creative, prepares you for mental work. Traditionally, it's feminine, and it's associated with the moon. And the Pingala nadi corresponds to your right nostril in terms of pranayama, and the Ida nadi corresponds to your left nostril. So basically, you want to balance the flow of energy through these 2 nostrils so you can balance your active and your passive side. Or if you want to think in terms of like traditional Eastern philosophy, the yin and the yang, we're just trying to balance all of that out. And when the Ida and Pingala are balanced, then we can awaken the most important nadi, which is Sushumna, and energy can flow through that. And Sushumna, that nadi basically runs along your spinal cord from your sacrum all the way up through the top of your head, according to the yogis. And when all of your energies are balanced and you awaken Sushumna, this is when you are your most vibrant, healthiest, most alive, happy self. So all the pranayamas are working to balance these energies, but the next pranayama coming up is the main one that very specifically deals with balancing out the right and the left. The second pranayama technique we're going to be learning is Nadi Shodhan. Now, Nadi Shodhan means energy channel cleaning breath, and basically this is alternate nostril breathing. So like I said in the previous video, we have 2 different main energies that are associated with the 2 different nostrils, the Pingala and the Ida, and this pranayama works to balance those 2 energies out. It also balances your doshas. If you want to know what those are, I included a brief note in the handout with this lecture. And this is a very powerful pranayama. It pretty much balances everything in your body. Once your energies are balanced, it's easy to balance the rest of your body as well. So the only real contraindication for this breath is if you have a cold or something like a flu that maybe you can't breathe evenly out of your 2 nostrils. That's just kind of going to defeat the purpose of this because you want to get the breath, the energy flowing evenly through the right nostril and the left nostril. So if one side's blocked, it's not going to be able to happen. So if you can blow your nose, clear it out somehow so that you can evenly breathe through both nostrils, then you can totally continue on and it will be fine. Like I said, the benefits of Nadi Shodhan are numerous and very powerful. This balances your energies, your doshas, your brain hemispheres, so the more creative side and the more active side. It can also balance your weight and your blood pressure. It can balance hypo and hyperthyroidism. It basically balances everything. It's a very calming technique. It brings great peace and tranquility to you as well. So, keeping all of this in mind, let's get ready to start Nadi Shodhan. So come into a comfortable seated position, whatever that means for you today. Have a straight spine. And once you know the technique of this pranayama, of course you want to close your eyes. We're going to be using the Pranav mudra for this, so bring up your right hand, place the first two fingers together and the ring and pinky finger together. Place the first two fingers on the space between your eyebrows. Close the right nostril with your right thumb. Inhale through your left nostril. Close the left nostril with your ring and pinky finger. Release the right nostril and exhale. Keep the right nostril open, inhale through it. Close off the right nostril, release the left, and exhale. Inhale through the left. Close it, release the right, and exhale. We continue this pattern. Ideally, anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. The longer you practice this pranayama, the more it starts to work on a more intricate level in your body, eventually until this pranayama affects even your cells. There's a chart breaking that down about how long it takes to move on to the next level of your body, and that is also in the worksheet. When you're done with Nadi Shodhan, you can either continue on to the next practice or lie down and relax in Shavasana. The next breath we will be discussing is Ujjayi. Now, Ujjayi is known by many different names in English. It can be called sea sound breath, victorious breath, fire breath, even sleeping baby snoring sound breath. This breath has a very distinct sound associated with it that is made by constricting in your throat. Now, if you do vinyasa flow or ashtanga or any movement-based yoga class, you might have heard them talk about Ujjayi breath. It's basically the same technique, however the application is different when you're doing it while you're moving versus when you're doing it when you're just sitting and focusing on your breath. Now, this breath, like I said, is made with a constriction in your throat. So it's a little bit tricky sometimes to understand exactly what that means, but if you think about the way you breathe when you go to fog up a mirror, like that, and then you just close your mouth, that's basically what you're doing. If you're having a little trouble hearing the sound or feeling this vibration, you can always place a hand on your throat when you're starting out. And one other thing about Ujjayi that's really cool is this breath can be done sitting, standing, or lying down. In a pranayama session, obviously you want to be sitting, but if you want to practice it wherever you are, wherever you go, you are more than welcome to do that. There aren't really many contraindications for Ujjayi breath. Basically, if there's anything causing swelling in your throat, since you're going to be constricting it, such as tonsillitis or throat cancer, it just might be a little bit painful for you to do. So it's best to avoid this breath, or if you have eardrum infections, because the vibrations will travel up through your ear canals, and it'll just, again, be a little bit painful for you. The benefits of Ujjayi are numerous. Ujjayi can actually help boost your immunity, and if you practice it lying down, it can help you fall right to sleep. It also can help with your metabolism and your digestion, and it promotes great feelings of calm. It can release anxiety, reduce stress. It's just an all-around very relaxing pranayama. And the only precaution for Ujjayi is you don't want to constrict your throat so much that you have trouble breathing. So if you find that you cannot get enough oxygen, just, relax your throat just a tiny bit, make it a little more comfortable for you. Again, this is a relaxing pranayama, so we don't want to be worried about not being able to get enough air in. So keeping that in mind, let's get ready to do Ujjayi. So sit up in a comfortable seated position, whatever that means for you today. Find length in your spine, and again, once you know the technique, you'll want to close your eyes. Now, squeeze your throat, constrict the muscles around your throat so that it feels like almost like you're sucking or breathing through a straw. Another way to think about this, again, is like you're fogging up a mirror with your exhales, so, but then with your mouth closed. So begin to inhale and exhale through this straw-like constriction in your throat, and it'll sound like this. The more you squeeze up and out at the end of your exhales, the more work this will do in your abdominal muscles. And it might be easier to feel the breath coming through the straw. If you have no air left, it'll sort of just find its way through and it'll make the inhales easier. So practice this breath anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. And then when you're finished, you can move on to your next technique or lie down and rest in Shavasana. The next breath we will be discussing is Bhramari, or forceful breath. This is also known as bellows breath, and like its name states, this is a very forceful breathing technique. We're going to be forcefully inhaling and forcefully exhaling. Now, just because this is a forceful breath does not mean you should do it fast. You should still try to elongate your inhales and exhales, just make them very active and use all of your abdominal muscles. Again, this is an energy-wasting practice or kriya, so you want to follow this up with a slower pranayama to just help rebalance your energy when you're finished with this one. And the contraindications for Bhramari are if you have any conditions that would cause pain or pressure in your abdominal region, such as ulcers, herniated discs, or even if you're menstruating or you're pregnant, you definitely want to avoid this one. You also want to avoid this breath if you have any condition that would make it difficult for you to inhale fully and get enough oxygen. So if you have asthma or emphysema, also avoid this breath. And lastly, if you have any conditions causing pressure to a certain region in your head, such as glaucoma, or even if you have vertigo or you recently had a stroke, you definitely don't want to be applying any more pressure to your head, which this breath definitely does. So just avoid this breath. The benefits of Bhramari are it can help with your digestion, it can relieve constipation, it is, even though it's energy wasting, it can also energize you mentally. And this is a great detoxifying pranayama. It detoxifies your blood due to the rapid exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide from your very forceful breaths. And when it detoxifies the blood, then that serves to help detoxify the rest of your body. So this is a really great pranayama for detoxing. There are several precautions for Bhramari. Again, like Kapalabhati, you definitely want to make sure you have an empty stomach for this one, because all of that forceful work in your abs is definitely going to make you feel nauseous if there's any food in there. You also want to practice this one in very short rounds and definitely take breaks in between. This is another pranayama that can make you feel dizzy after a while. So if that happens, please stop immediately, just return to normal breathing. When you feel better, if you want to try it again, you can, or it's totally fine to just call it a day and move on. And with this breath especially, you want to make sure that you're not subconsciously scrunching up your face or raising your eyebrows, tightening your jaw, or like moving your spine. You definitely want to take care to keep the rest of your body as relaxed and still as possible. So keeping those things in mind, let's get ready to try Bhramari. Come into a comfortable seated position. Again, lengthen your spine and take a moment to relax your shoulders and all of your facial muscles. Again, once you know the technique for this pranayama, close your eyes and just begin to forcefully inhale and forcefully exhale. Again, not too quick. breaths or so. That is completely enough. If you want to start in shorter groups of maybe 5 breaths, that's totally fine as well. Then when you're finished, return to normal breathing before moving on in your practice or lying down to rest in Shavasana. Our next breath is Surya Bedi. Now, Surya Bedi means sun-piercing breath. It can also mean right nostril piercing breath or Pingala Nadi piercing breath. So this breath is dealing with the right side, the more active side, traditionally masculine. This is a more assertive energy. So this breath will help to energize you and prepare you for physical activity. Now, Surya Bedi and its counterpart Chandra Bedi, they pretty much have the opposite benefits and contraindications because they're dealing with the opposite sides, but the technique is almost the same. So for Surya Bedi, the contraindications are if you have anything that's already too high in your body, such as high blood pressure, hyperthyroidism, if you have a lot of aggression or extra pitta, extra fire, it's best to avoid this breath. The benefits, however, are that Surya Bedi will help to bring up anything that is too low in your body. For example, if you have low blood pressure or hypothyroidism, even if you're very introverted and you need help kind of expressing yourself and bringing that out, Surya Bedi can help with that as well. 2 things to keep in mind when practicing Surya Bedi are you never want to practice any pranayama right after eating, but especially not Surya Bedi, because although it helps in the whole digestive process, it helps things move around, if you practice it right after eating, it's going to just disrupt the normal pattern and the flow of your digestion. So you don't want to do that. And also, you don't want to practice this one right before you go to bed, because again, it's very energizing. It'll just wake you up and you'll have trouble falling asleep. So with those 2 things in mind, let's get ready to do Surya Bedi. So sit in whatever position is most comfortable for you today. Again, always remembering to keep a straight spine and closing your eyes once you learn the technique for this breath. Bring your right hand into Prana Mudra, placing the first 2 fingers in the space between your eyebrows and closing the left nostril with your ring finger and pinky. Inhale through your right nostril. Close that nostril with your thumb. Open your left nostril and exhale. Close your left nostril, open your right. Inhale. Close your right nostril, open your left, exhale. I'll show you a few more breaths. You can practice this breath anywhere from 5 to 20 times, depending on how much energy you feel like you need on the day that you're practicing. And then when you're finished, you can continue on with your practice or lie down and rest in Shavasana. Chandra Bedi is our next breath. Chandra Bedi means moon-piercing breath, left nostril piercing breath, or Ida Nadi piercing breath. So this breath is dealing with the left side, which is the passive energy, traditionally feminine. This breath will soothe and calm you and prepare you for mental activity. So like I said with Surya Bedi, Chandra Bedi and Surya Bedi have pretty much opposite contraindications and benefits, but a similar technique, except you're breathing with the opposite nostrils because you're dealing with the opposite energy channels. So for Chandra Bedi then, the contraindications are if you have any condition that already causes something to be low or slow in your body, such as low blood pressure, hypothyroidism, arthritis, diabetes, everything just works a little bit more slowly. Or if you're very introverted, since this is pulling your energy in, it's best to avoid this breath. The benefits of Chandra Bedi are that if there's anything too high in your body, such as if you have high blood pressure, hyperthyroidism, too much aggression, too much pitta, too much fire, Chandra Bedi can calm all of those things down. It also helps if you're feeling very hyperactive, if you have a lot of extra restless energy, Chandra can just calm you right down so that you can continue on with your day in a more focused way. The one precaution for Chandra is if you wake up in the morning and you're feeling groggy, you definitely don't want to start the day with this pranayama because it'll just continue that groggy feeling. It's going to pull that groggy feeling along with you throughout your day, and nobody wants that. So if you're feeling tired when you wake up in the morning, just choose another pranayama that'll help get you ready for your day instead. And keeping that in mind, let's get ready to do Chandra. Come into a comfortable seated position, remembering to keep a straight spine. And once you know the technique, again, close your eyes. Bring your right hand into Pranav Mudra. Place the first two fingers on the space between your eyebrows and close your right nostril with your right thumb. Inhale through the left nostril. Close it with the ring finger and pinky. Release your right and exhale. Close the right. Open the left. Inhale. Close the left. Open the right. Exhale. I'll show you a few more. You can practice this anywhere from 5 to 20 breaths, depending on how much grounding and calming you need for your day. And then you can either continue on with your practice, or as always, lie down and relax in Shavasana. Shitali is our next breath. Now, Shitali means cooling breath, and as its name states, this breath can actually cool you down. It is almost identical to Shitkari, which is next. The contraindications and benefits are the same. The technique is a little bit different, but just to highlight a few contraindications, basically any condition where something is slow in your body or low energy, you would want to avoid this since this is a cooling and calming breath. So if you are depressed, if you have low blood pressure, if you have arthritis, you move slowly, anything like that, if you have low pitta, low fire, you probably want to avoid this breath. The benefits are that it can cool you down when you're hot, obviously. It can also help relieve painful symptoms of menstruation. It can ease diarrhea. It is very calming and soothing. And it is a great breath to practice when you are feeling hyperactive. It will just calm you right down. So the technique is fairly simple. The one thing is that this breath requires you to curl your tongue. Some people cannot do that. It is a genetic thing, totally normal. If you are a person who cannot curl your tongue, you want to just completely skip this breath and do Shitkari instead. So let's begin Shitali. So sit up straight in a comfortable position, whatever that is for you today. Long spine. Again, eventually you'll want to close your eyes. I'm going to keep mine open for now. You can as well while you watch. And to begin, stick out your tongue and curl it like this, roll it. We're going to inhale through our curled tongue. Pull it back in, close your mouth, exhale through your nose. For anywhere from 10 to 20 breaths until you feel cool. And then when you are done, you can either continue on with your practice or as always, lie down and rest in Shavasana. Shitkari is our next breath. Now Shitkari means hissing breath or snake breath because we're going to be making a hissing sound when we do this pranayama. This is also a cooling breath. Like I said with Shitali, the benefits and contraindications of these two are pretty much identical. The technique is just a little bit different. To highlight, again, some of these contraindications, If you have any condition that is already causing a low energy or a slow energy, cooling breaths are just going to bring that energy down even further. So avoid this breath if you have constipation, slow digestion, if you're depressed, if you don't have enough internal fire of some sort. The benefits of Shitkari are, again, it will cool your body down. If you're hot physically, it can also cool and calm and soothe your mind. It will help if you have too much aggression, too much internal fire. And it can also help balance out any hyperactivity or extra energy that you may have. And the one precaution with Shitkari is because we're going to be breathing through our teeth, if you have sensitive teeth, missing teeth, or dentures, just avoid this breath and practice Shitali instead. And for any cooling breath, if your body is ever very cold, so if you're outside in the winter, you shouldn't be outside practicing to start with, but if it's the winter time and you're feeling cold, just avoid all the cooling breaths because it's just going to make you uncomfortable. And one thing to keep in mind, for this breath, we're going to be baring our teeth. Some people can do that further with your mouth more open. Some people, like me, you can only open your mouth a little bit. Like that. That's not going to affect the cooling sensation that you get. The only thing that will affect and change the amount of cooling that you get from this breath is how long your inhale is. So a shorter inhale, it's only going to bring in a little bit of a cool breath. So just try to expand and draw out your inhales. That will give you a greater cooling sensation for your body. Now we're ready to do Shitkari. Come into your comfortable seated position for the day. Again, finding length in your spine. And once you know how to do this pranayama, closing your eyes. Bare your teeth to start, however far this is comfortable for you. Inhale through your teeth. Close your mouth and exhale. Again, finding length in your inhales. Doing this anywhere from 10 to 20 breaths until you feel cool and calm, and then continuing on with your practice or relaxing in Shavasana. The last breath of the traditional 9 pranayamas is Bhramari. Now, Bhramari is known as hummingbird breath, honeybee breath, or buzzing sound breath. And this breath is always practiced last in a pranayama session. So if you're doing more than one pranayama technique, this one always comes at the end because it is a relaxation technique. It deeply calms and relaxes your mind and your body. And when we do this breath, we're actually going to be sticking our fingers in our ears like this. This just helps you feel the vibrations inside of your body and gets rid of a few more external distractions. This breath really draws your focus inwards. There's also a way that you can do it where you plug your ears with your thumbs and you cover your eyes and your nose and your mouth, but that's a little bit more advanced, so we're not going to be doing that. But that is also an option for complete sense withdrawal, to really draw your focus inwards. There really aren't that many contraindications for this breath. This breath is good for pretty much anyone, unless you have an eardrum infection, because all of the vibrations and pressure that's going to be put here from sticking your fingers in your ears and making a humming sound, that can be a little bit painful. Or if you have any condition that would be applying pressure to your brain, such as a brain tumor, or if you have epilepsy because you might get a little bit overstimulated, avoid this breath. Aside from that, this is great for everyone. The benefits of this, again, are it very deeply relaxes you, promotes a sense of peace and tranquility. It can help with psychological and neurological issues. If you're having any maybe synapses misfiring up there, this can sort of just realign everything in your brain. This is a very, very powerful breath. It can draw your focus inwards. It's great to practice before meditation because it will ground you and focus you inside of yourself. So let's get ready to do Bhramari. Come into your comfortable seat for today. Again, with a long spine, Eventually close your eyes. Bring your arms straight out to the sides of you, extending straight from your shoulders. Then bend at your elbows and put your fingers in your ears. So you want your elbows to stay in line with your shoulders. Keep your fingers out of your ears for a minute so you can hear me finish this explanation. But you're going to plug your ears with your fingers, not inside your ears, kind of just like push over that little flap of skin right there. And then take a deep inhale. And you're going to exhale a humming or buzzing sound. Don't force it, just let the air fall out until you run out of air, and then inhale and repeat. So it'll sound like this. And obviously the longer that you practice this, the longer your humming will be. Again, don't ever force it. And then when you've done only about 10 breaths, this is the last pranayama, so you can go and lie down in Shavasana. Stay there for a while, just let everything relax. Welcome to the bonus lecture. Like I said, I wanted to include a few little extras for you guys. This is your chance to be wild and goofy and crazy and improve your creativity, get rid of some negative energy, and all sorts of cool stuff like that. Roaring Lion and Lion's Breath are not traditional pranayama techniques. They're not part of the 9 that are taught in a pranayama session, but they still affect your breath, your prana, your energy, so that's why I've decided to include them in this course. They're very similar, Roaring Lion and Lion's Breath, except Lion's Breath uses just your breath, and Roaring Lion also uses your voice. There's really no contraindications for either of these practices. If you really don't feel like being goofy or you're feeling very shy one day, this will help you get over your shyness, but if you're feeling too shy to try, just save this for another day. We'll all have a moment where we'll want to be goofy, and that's a perfect time to pull these out. The benefits of both Roaring Lion and Lion's Breath are, like I said, this can clear out negative energy, you can boost your creativity. You can also deal with negative emotions. This is going to bring up and then expel negative emotions that you might have. So this is a very healing practice as well, very cathartic. And also, because we're bringing so much prana and energy up into our face and actually exercising our facial muscles, this is great for improving eyesight, making sure that the skin in your face stays nice and young and healthy looking. There's just so many great benefits to both of these practices. I can't wait to share them with you guys. The only precaution really is that if you are dealing with a serious trauma, because these practices bring up negative emotions and negative energy, you might feel a little sad. I've been known to cry a few times while doing Lion's Breath. It happens, it's normal. But if you don't like the way you're feeling or you're not ready to process that, then just pull it back, try again another day. It's all okay. So now let's get ready to learn how to do Lion's Breath and Roaring Lion. So we're going to start with Roaring Lion. For this technique, you're going to want to start in a kneeling position. Sit back on your heels and then spread your knees apart, just however much is comfortable. You might need to adjust so that you can sit on your heels comfortably. Turn your hands so that they're facing you, your fingers are facing you, and place your palms on the ground in between your legs. It's okay to arch your back. You want to arch your back. You're going to look up, take a deep inhale. Exhale, stick your tongue out as far as you can. Open your eyes as wide as you can. You can wiggle your tongue and cross your eyes. I will show you that version. So I'm going to show you 2 breaths. One being extra crazy, and the first one just with a normal lion's breath. So inhale. Exhale with noise, with sound, using your voice like this. Ah. long as comfortable. Again, the more you practice, the longer you can maintain this sound. So one more time. This one is a workout for your voice. So moving on to lion's breath, I'm just going to stay in this similar position that we were in roaring lion. However, lion's breath can be done in a variety of poses and postures, and I'll show you some of those in a minute. When you exhale, you're still going to stick your tongue out as far as it can go, but you're going to squeeze your eyes shut, scrunch up the rest of your face, and exhale just on your breath. Force it out, like this. And the more you push with your abs, the more of a workout it will be for your entire digestive system and really your whole body. So, if you want to do this with movement, one option is to do it in what we call cat-cow in yoga. So come onto your hands and knees with your knees directly under your hips, your wrists directly under your shoulders, fingers spread wide, and your feet extending straight back from your knees. Inhale, arch your back, open your heart center, look up. On your exhale, round your back as much as it can. Again, scrunch your eyes closed, scrunch up your face, stick out your tongue as far as it can, and force all that air out like this. It's a good workout. So like I said, these breaths are just fun ways to improve your creativity, get rid of negative energy, get rid of any other negative emotions. If you're anxious or, a little bit nervous about something, this will help with that. And it just, sometimes feels nice to be goofy and just there. That's just a physical manifestation of letting go mentally, letting go of any sort of anxiety, any tension, any negative energy that you may have. This just encourages you to let it go. And by thinking about it as if you're a lion, you also can find a sense of power in this. There's power. You are strong enough to let go and be crazy. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed these bonus breaths and that you use them whenever you need a Congratulations, guys! We've now gone over all 9 traditional pranayama techniques. Now is your chance to put them all together. The next recording is a video of a complete pranayama session. I will be demonstrating each of the pranayama techniques, and I will also be giving cues for them, so that once you're familiar with the full practice, you can close your eyes and just use the audio as a guide in your sessions. So whenever you're ready, find a quiet space, grab your mat, your pillow, whatever else you might need, and get ready to focus on your breath. So come into a comfortable seated position, whatever that is for you today. Ground both sitting bones evenly into the floor. Feel a golden band pulling you from your sacrum up through the crown of your head. Relax your shoulders back and down, and relax all the little muscles in your face. Begin to inhale and exhale deeply, focusing on your breath, finding a comfortable pace. When you're ready, inhale and begin to exhale forcefully for Kapalabhati. Keeping your body as still as possible, taking rest when you need it. Remembering always to honor your body. if there is any breath you do not want to do today. Just sit still and take long, deep breaths until we move on to the next pranayama. Slowly return to normal breathing. Check your spinal alignment. When you're ready, bring your right hand into Pranav Mudra, the first two fingers in the space between your eyebrows. Close your right nostril. Inhale through the left. Exhale through the right. Then inhale through the right. And exhale through the left. Continuing this pattern for Nadi Shodhan. Slowly return to normal breathing. Release your right hand. When you're ready, constrict your throat. Begin to inhale and exhale long, deep breaths, as if you're breathing through a straw. For Ujjayi. The longer your breaths, the more of a calming sensation this will bring you. Slowly come back. And when you're ready, begin to inhale and exhale forcefully for Bhadrastrika. Keep your shoulders still, your spine long, your face relaxed. Only take about 20 breaths or so. Slowly come back to normal breathing, deep inhales and exhales. If you need to readjust your position, you can do so in between each of the techniques. Always coming back to a feeling of length in your spine and relaxation in your face and shoulders. When you're ready, return your right hand to Pranav Mudra. Close the left nostril. Inhale through the right and exhale through the left for Surya Bedi for about 10 to 15 breaths. Getting ready to switch for Chandra Bedi. So inhaling through the left and exhaling through the right. Again, for about 10 to 15 breaths.
Slowly come back. Release your right hand back down. When you're ready, stick out your tongue and roll it into a tube for Shitali. Closing your mouth and exhaling through your nose for about 10 breaths. Slowly come back. And next, bare your teeth and inhale for Sheet Kari. Again, closing your mouth and exhaling through your nose. Again, come back. Relax your face, your shoulders. Bring your arms out. Then close the flaps of your ears with your pointer fingers. Inhale deeply. Exhale on a hum. Just for 5 breaths. Slowly come back. Release your arms. Take a few long, deep breaths here. Slowly come down to lie on your back with your legs, your feet spread about mat width apart. Let your toes fall open to the sides. Lengthen your spine. Tuck your shoulder blades down your back. Let your arms extend straight out with a little space in between your hands and the sides of your body. Relax your toes, your feet, your ankles, your calves, your shins, your knees, your thighs, your hips. Relax your belly. Take deep inhales and deep exhales. No restriction to your breath now. Let your lower back release. Your upper back relax. Your chest naturally rising and falling with each breath. Relax your shoulders, your upper arms, your lower arms, your hands, your neck, your head, and all the little muscles in your face. When you're ready, begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Wake your face up. Stretch long. Stretch the entire front of your body. Inhale, stretch again. And exhale, release. When you're ready, gently roll onto your right side in the fetal position. If you're not ready yet, you can just stay on your back and listen. This fetal position is a symbol of rebirth. What have you discovered about yourself today? What new thought, or emotion, or idea has been born? When you're ready, bring yourself up into a comfortable seated position with your hands together at your heart center. Begin to rub them together, creating energy. Place this energy on your eyes. Open your eyes behind your palms. And then spread this energy from your head to your toes. Bring your hands back together, bow forward. Namaste.
So thank you all so much for joining me on this journey. I hope that you've learned a lot and that you've discovered a lot about yourself, about your breath, your body, your mind. I hope that you take these lessons that you've learned and carry them with you on your journey through life. If you ever have any questions about pranayama or about anything that we've discussed, you can always leave me a note and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. I leave you now with the traditional yogi greeting. The light in me sees, honors, and respects the light in you. Namaste.